This is Matt Walsh with your Minute with the Mayor for Thursday, April 15th. This is a throwback Thursday from the history of Council Bluffs and a little bit from the other side of the river. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help me to welcome to the Royal Grove Mercury recording artist from Council Bluffs, Iowa. By the mid-1950s, rock and roll was emerging in popularity, and big bands that had been popular in the 40s and early 50s were struggling. In those days, the summertime hotspot in Omaha was Peony Park. Close your eyes and imagine a giant swimming pool surrounded by a sandy beach with diving towers and water slides. An amusement park with all variety of exciting rides that helped to provide a convenient excuse to put your arm around your date and secure her from any potential personal injury. For a couple bucks, there was cheap food and pop served at the hot dog stands, and there was a recreation room that was filled with dozens of pinball machines. The one-piece swimsuit had given way to the bikini. Teenage girls and their friends loaded into the family station wagon, and they headed to Peony so that they could work on their tans. That meant carrying along a beach bag full of hair rollers, a makeup mirror, and all the necessities of beauty, including Virginia Slim cigarettes. The main attraction at the park for boys was teenage girls. Most of the males were wearing tight, boxer-style swimsuits, like the one Elvis wore on the beaches of Mexico in the movie King Creole. When the sun began to set, and after a quick change in the bathhouse, it was off to Peony Park's Royal Grove for a twirl and the twist on the outside dance floor. Big bands of those days just couldn't adapt to the starts and stops of rock and roll music. So in an effort to stay musically relevant, Eddie Haddad and his orchestra big band decided to hire a rock band to play music out front while the orchestra provided background music. Then Eddie Haddad and the band finished the night by playing a slow dance, a song they had played at every prom for the last decade, Cecilia. Some local groups made it big at Peony Park, playing alongside Eddie Haddad and his orchestra big band. One of them was the Rumbles. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and help me welcome to the Royal Grove Mercury recording artist from Council Bluffs, Iowa, the Rumbles. This 1960s garage band from Council Bluffs, whose name was inspired by urban slang for a street fight, became hugely popular throughout the Midwest. The original band members were guitarists Rich Clayton and Joe Brunworth. Bud Phillips was on bass, and Thomas Jefferson High School student Steve Huff played the drums. Huff wasn't allowed to walk in his graduation ceremony due to his Beach Boys styles haircut, which would be considered short by today's standards. Each of these band members possessed one key element that made them an amazing live band. Each were incredible singers. The Rumbles played professionally for the first time in 1963, which was 1 year before the Beatles broke through in America. The band had learned the importance of four-part harmony, commonly heard in that era's doo-wop style hit songs. The Rumbles' vocals and musical process were so advanced that by the late 60s they were renowned for being able to exactly duplicate the Beatles album Abbey Road, and they would perform the entire LP live at their shows, track by track. It was big band leader Eddie Haddad who first contracted with the young Rumbles about performing during musical breaks that his band took while playing high school proms. Many students wanted a rock and roll combo, but school administrators running the dances weren't really excited about that idea. So Haddad developed a hybrid, with the Rumbles being backed by the orchestra. The combination worked so well that Eddie Haddad Entertainment assumed management of the Rumbles in 1964, and the band's popularity took off. The somewhat strange marriage of a big band leader, Haddad, and the raucous rock and roll band with the soaring vocal harmonies paid off handsomely throughout the 60s with several hit songs and huge crowds throughout the Midwest. When it came to making records on national labels, the Rumbles Limited were early Midwest leaders in this category too, with releases nationally on Mercury Records, Capitol Records, GNP Crescendo, and Sire Records. Their standout recording effort has to be their 1967 release of Frankie Lane's Jezebel on Mercury Records, which went to #1 in several Midwestern radio markets and charted on the Billboard Hot 100. They also recorded 14 Years, Out of Harmony, and 99% Sure for Mercury Records, Hey Lenora for Capitol Records, California My Way for GMP Crescendo Records, and Push Push for Sire Records. With the band on verge of stardom, Rich Clayton, the band's founder, decided to leave the band, and he moved to California in 1967. Clayton was replaced by a keyboardist and guitarist, Bob Ford, and the Rumbles continued selling out venues. But one thing that brought the Rumbles' popularity to a halt was something that the band had little control over: the changing musical taste of their core audience. In the late 60s and early 70s, psychedelic music started to win over young people, and the Rumbles witnessed an unprecedented phenomenon. The kids decided they would rather sit down to listen to the music rather than rush to the dance floor. Consequently, attendance at dances rapidly began to decline, and the Rumbles were soon forced to disband. The Rumbles went their separate way in the ensuing years. Brunworth followed Clayton to California. Phillips became an electrician while playing in other bands. Ford continued playing in an unofficial Rumbles combo before starting his own group, and Steve Huff got into the nightclub business. In 1979, the original Rumbles were asked to do a reunion concert at Omaha's Peony Park, and it would be the first time the band had played together in over 8 years. The Rumbles reunion dance was such a huge success that the group decided to reform later that year. Phillips and Ford signed on for another tour, with Haddad resuming management of the band. The Rumbles picked up where they left off, and in the early 70s is one of the Midwest's premier dance party bands, and they continued playing until 2019. Peony Park closed its doors for the last time on March 31st of 1994. That's your Minute with the Mayor. Have a great weekend. It's going to be nice this weekend. Get out there and enjoy it.